All right, Mark with Stay Fresh Cheese Bags here. I got a Summerboard tip for you. This is an old deck. It's cracked here, so to replace it. I just got it here to basically show you a little tip. It's not scientific. It's just kind of what I have figured out. I've had a couple problems with this version 2 motherboard since I brought my Summerboard brand new about 3 months ago. I've had to send it out. I've had 2 issues. I ended up buying a whole nother V2 board so that I could keep rolling, because I bought it to train on and to ride, and I can't ride if support has it and they're working on it. So anyways, my tip is issue 1. I'll go over the issue first. Issue 1 was I had a problem with the power button coming on and off. Like basically it started to be intermittent. Like I couldn't turn it off once it was turned on. So when I was changing everything out with the other board, I noticed something kind of particular. So if you'll notice the mounting screws here, the holes, I mean, and here, right? And what this does is this fits down in here and it goes into like the plastic part that houses the battery and all that kind of stuff, because you can see the battery port right there, right? So this board is pretty flexy. I have a couple of freeboard decks that I'm experimenting with because I'm a tinkerer like that. And this one is very thin and you can knee steer with this like pretty easy. I'm 6'1", like 170 pounds, or 6 foot and 170 pounds now. But anyways, you can definitely knee steer and like flex the board like back and forth opposite to ride it, which is really nice. It rides great. But you got to remember, you got this circuit board that's in the middle here. So my hot tip is, I'm pretty sure that the first failure I experienced was just having to do with like the board having like an issue or something. And then when I went through and was trying to look at everything, because I had to basically solder these, one of these. I had to solder one of these connections back onto the board because they had kind of like worked their way loose. It just looked like it was a little bit not enough solder. So that's probably workmanship at the factory that contributed to that failure. But when I put everything back together, I tried to put it together well, as you would. But this deck is so flexible. I think I over-tightened these 2 screws. Because when those 2 screws are over-tightened, it's going to cause this board to flex a lot more with the flexing of the deck, rather than just like a small, just vibrating as the board bounces around and kind of like not moving around as much. So I guess what I'm talking about is that like snug these down and then back them off, like maybe a quarter turn or something. You could put Loctite them on if you want. And what that will do is it will prevent the flex of the board, or if you ride really hard, and like all the other stuff that's going on with the movement of the board, to not transfer into this board as much. So even if the plastic housing is flexing, it's not going to flex this, because the solder that are in these little joints, they're not made to flex very much. So when this thing is bent or flexed, you can get a little hairline crack in the electronics, which can cause a failure. So that's my hot tip. My second problem that I had was the Bluetooth stopped working on it. I'm not really sure why that happened, so I had to send it back anyways. But, I don't know. I think that if you run those screw holes, though, a little bit looser, I think you probably have a much better chance of having a really reliable ride. Because, I mean, in all honesty, now that I've had the same parts on there that have been working for like, a month and a half, 2 months, and I ride it every day pretty much, it's been pretty durable and bomb-proof. But it's kind of like, it just didn't feel like that when I first got on it. So don't over-tighten these screws. Maybe keep them a touch backed off, just so that this guy doesn't get as much stress from your riding. All right, this is Mark. I'm out.